Am I making a mistake divorcing my husband? Thank you in advance if you stick around until the end. My husband, a 34-year-old male, and I, a 32-year-old female, have been together for 11 years and married for 6 years. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. We are currently in a separation, and I am asking for a divorce. I grew up in an unstable single-parent home and never had much support or money. When I met him, there was financial security and a large family unit. They took me in, gave me a job at the family business, and provided a beautiful home and family. When we were first together, our dynamic was that I worked part-time for the family business, was paid under the table, and also took care of our home, which worked fine at the time. Then I had our first child and suffered severe postpartum depression, and my husband and his family were not there when I needed them. My husband then decided we should build a rental property because the average millionaire has multiple lines of income. We built the rental property, and I had my second baby and suffered even worse postpartum depression than before. 5 months after having my second child, my husband severely broke his leg 3 days before Christmas, which left me to take care of 2 babies, a husband recovering from surgery, a rental property, and the holidays to deal with, all while having severe postpartum depression and no help from family. When he recovered without so much as a thank you, he decided we needed to buy another rental property for me to inevitably maintain. In the process of all this, I decided to open my own business because I was drowning in the needs of others and wanted something for myself. In hindsight, it was terrible timing, but I am thankful I have my business now. When this all happened, I told my husband it was time for a dynamic shift and that I needed more help with the children and things around the house. He did not step up. I became suicidal and planned how I could go through with it. I told him about this, and his response was, "Don't say that," and went on his regular way. He did not ask one time after that how my mental health was or try to do anything to lessen my mental load. I then got COVID-19, and he asked me to just wear a mask around our children. I then got the stomach bug, and not once did he ask if I was okay or if I needed anything. He fights when I ask him to bring the kids to daycare. He has never cooked a meal or even picked up pizza. He has never grocery shopped or offered any ideas other than chips. I have vocalized my needs more than once, and only when I told him I was going to leave him did he try to step up. When I told him I wanted a divorce, he told me I was not in my right mind and to get my medication checked out. Now he wants to try to make things work after years of me asking. But I do not want to even give him a chance because his trying is bringing the kids to daycare and trying to have sex with me when I have repeatedly told him I am not interested in sex. Is it wrong of me to just want to leave without giving him a fair chance? You gave him many chances, but how many more does he think he needs to make it fair? It's about respect, partnership, and showing up for someone when their soul is screaming for help, not just their to-do list. You and your children deserve better than to watch you struggle while he couldn't care less. The real question is, for how long are you willing to settle for less than you deserve? Me and my partner are expecting, but I don't think it's mine. What should I do? Hey guys, for backstory, I am a 26-year-old male, and my girlfriend is a 24-year-old female. We have known each other since 2019. We met on Tinder while she was visiting my state. She is not from where I live, and we connected immediately. I fell for her hard. We did not start officially dating until November of last year. During the time beforehand, she met a guy she was working with who had a baby mother and child. The baby mother ended up passing away, and on the day of her funeral service, my girlfriend went to his house to console him and ended up performing oral sex on him. She did not tell me until much later, and I forgave her. I told her not to link up with him again and trusted she would not. I had her location, and one day when I was on my way to my job orientation, I caught her at his apartment. After numerous times of calling, she finally answered, but in the bathroom. We got into an argument. I blocked her for a while, but we eventually made up. She promised me she would not see him again and said that distance was her biggest issue. We decided that if we really wanted this, we should officially date, which we did. I came out to see her a couple of times at the end of last year, and she came to my state to celebrate Christmas with both sides of my family. Fast forward to January of this year. I told her I would come see her in January, but could not make it due to financial troubles. I came out there twice in February and found out she was pregnant. Neither of us were expecting it. She told me she did not want to keep it and had no plan to tell her parents because of it being so unexpected. We do not have the funds ourselves to care for a child, which I agreed. But when she gave me the papers confirming her pregnancy, I noticed that it said she was a couple of days pregnant before I had last seen her, which I thought was odd. I did some research and found that the date could be off due to it being an estimate, so I pushed it to the back of my head. We decided we should move in together and thought it would be best for her to come to my state. Since then, she has been living with me without paying rent and doing minimal things around the house, which I will admit was irritating but understandable to a point because she is, of course, pregnant. The problem is, I was not prepared to be paying all the bills by myself. Our rent is $2,000 a month. Because she told me she would find a job before she came out here, which she obviously did not. We recently had a talk about our living situation and decided it is best for her to move back in with her mother so she could be better taken care of and start going to the doctor. Because of her not working and me not making enough to cover rent and feed us, she was not able to go to the doctor since finding out she is pregnant. We scheduled an ER visit today, and when we told them she is 16 weeks, they came back and told us she is actually 19 weeks and 5 days. I did the math and that is in the middle of January. This is my first pregnancy, and I have a lot going for myself career-wise. I do not believe this is my child, and I do not know what to do, or at least how to go about doing it. She leaves in 2 to 3 weeks. I do not know how to have the conversation with her that I think this is not my child, and I would like a DNA test, mainly because it was hard enough having the conversations about her getting a job and about her returning to her family for the health of the baby. On top of that, we still live together for a while longer, and I do not want to foster a hostile living environment for either of us. I used to love her, but after all these issues, that love is dwindling fast. I am also an adopted child, so the thought of this affecting the child, whether or not it is mine, is heavy on my mind. I am really distraught about the situation, and it is causing me to slip back into a depression. What should I do? Am I tripping? Do you guys think she had sex with the man she was seeing in January, or could it be mine? Definitely seems like there's a gap in the story, especially with the jump from an abortion to being 20 weeks pregnant. If there's any doubt about paternity, a DNA test is crucial. It's also important to avoid signing the birth certificate until there's certainty. Going into this with any doubts can cause issues down the line. How do I explain to my partner that I can't just quit my job for a once-in-a-lifetime trip? My partner, Andrew, has the opportunity to go to Iceland at the end of this month. The event is from June 28th to June 30th. It came up all of a sudden, and we did not expect him to be able to do this. He invited me to go with him. We have been dating for 2 years now. I want to go. However, my job requires me to be there on July 3rd, so I would have to leave on July 2nd to ensure I arrive on time. So I can go from June 26th to July 2nd. My partner wants the trip to be from June 27th to July 6th. I have told him I cannot do that because of work and life obligations. He wants me to call in sick that day. I am one of 5 workers. If I do not show up, it will be a giant clusterfuck. I have had this day scheduled out for over a month. I'm leaving the job a week later. I put in 1 month's notice, so they have outlined the days I have to be there full-time versus part-time. I called him on the phone and tried to come up with 3 plans. The first plan is the dates I said I could go. The second plan is that I could go for part of the trip but leave early while he stays. The third plan is that I do not go at all. He argued that if I already put in my last day, why cannot I move it up since I do not even need to give a 2-week notice? I argued that doing so would burn a very valuable bridge in my network with possible future jobs. In the end, he said, I feel like you're putting your job before me in this relationship. I need to reevaluate the trip in our relationship. And he hung up. This kind of reaction from him is out of the blue. I know that he has been stressed with work and the idea of this event, so I am trying to give him a grain of salt. I know I would be upset if I were in his position. But I would also understand that this is life, and sadly, obligations keep us from doing what we want. I know I am probably in denial and trying to fix something I cannot. I have talked with friends, my parents, and my therapist. They all think his reaction is over the top, and something else might be underlying it. The idea of work getting in the way of fun things is an understandable concept, but my partner thinks I should follow along with him since I work a part-time job and I am leaving soon. I would like advice on either navigating this rocky end to the relationship or on how to better explain to him that I cannot throw my job away for a vacation, even if it is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. It's not up to him to decide what takes precedence in your life, especially when you've already offered reasonable compromises. If maintaining a consistent routine and professional network is important, doing something on a whim that disrupts that is a bad move. You're supposed to help each other grow as individuals, not just as a couple. They should enhance your life, not fundamentally disrupt and invalidate you. I have a totally mismatched sex drive with my partner. What are some ways to cope? I've been with my boyfriend for about 8 months. 3 months in, we became exclusive, and 6 months in, we became official. The sex has always been a little unsatisfactory from the start. He has a lower sex drive due to various medications, which he was very honest about from the beginning. Despite this, we still had sex almost every time I saw him for the first couple of months. After that, it started to happen less frequently, which didn't bother me because I know that's normal enough. It was still happening at least once a week. But within the last 2 months, it's more like once or twice a month. Apart from the first times we slept together, I have pretty much always been the one to initiate things. He'll either go along with it or if he's not in the mood, he'll tell me. When we're having sex, I usually have to take the lead. I understand that this is because he has a lower sex drive, and though I really don't love being the dominant one, at least we were having sex. Another big issue that has really bothered me from the start is that his medications make it really difficult for him to finish. I know that it's not anything I'm doing wrong, but it sure does feel like it. Often after sex, I feel ugly and undesirable, even when he tries to validate me. The sex has never really been satisfying for me, but I love him so much that I was just happy to be connecting with him. Flash forward to the last month. The problems mentioned above, his lower sex drive, me always being the one to initiate and take control, and him rarely finishing, really started making me feel super insecure and unsatisfied. I told myself that I wasn't going to initiate sex in order to see how long it'd take for him to initiate. So far, it's been a month and nothing. If it were just that, maybe I wouldn't be so bothered. But the thing is, he still very actively and openly watches porn and gets himself off on his own. So it's not that he has zero interest in sex. He still gets pleasure on his own, just not with me. Last night, we were having a drunk conversation about anything and everything, and somehow the term bop came up and he had no idea what it meant, so I had to explain it to him. We were talking about that for a bit and he smirked and said to me, "I think we're both fans of novel sexual experiences." Nothing about his medication has changed since I met him, yet we were having much more sex at the start. The very first time, and perhaps a few times within the first month, he was the one to initiate. If we were to break up and start seeing other people, I don't think he'd have any problem having sex with new girls. I just don't know what to do. If it were as simple as him having a low sex drive due to medication, I think I'd be fine. It's the drastic change in our sex life and the fact that he still watches porn, among other things. I feel confused. I love him, but I hate feeling unwanted. I have a high sex drive and kind of need validation through sex, and this is hard for me. What would you all do? This sub often jumps to suggesting breakups, but maybe try talking to him first. Explain that while you understand his meds might lower his sex drive, you still need to feel desired and sexy. Discuss the possibility of alternate medications with his doctor and see if things improve over the next few weeks or months. If there's no change and he continues to make little effort, then considering other options might be necessary. I love my fiancé more than anything, but we argue constantly about the state of our home due to her lack of organizational skills and the fact that she doesn't care. At this point, what can I do to get her to contribute or at least help? We have been engaged for 8 months and have been together for 6 years, living together for 5. She is an attorney and has been the breadwinner in our relationship since we moved in together. During COVID, I was laid off, and she supported me significantly with groceries and other necessities. My unemployment benefits were always able to pay the rent and utilities. Fast forward to now, she is still making more than me, but I have a steady remote job that pays low but is livable. I pay her back for most things, but she is still supporting me in many ways, for which I am very appreciative and express that to her constantly. She works late and I am off at 4 p.m. every day, so I am in charge of cooking and cleaning at night, which I am very willing to do. It is something I enjoy very much. There are plenty of chores around the house that I do not mind doing because I know how much she has done for me over the past few years. However, she does not care about space, whether it is personal space or space that certain things should occupy. For example, I have to constantly move her work items off the kitchen counter, specifically the cutting board where food is being prepared. I ask her to put it elsewhere, but she will push back and it becomes an argument. Or I will set it on the ground next to the counter, and she will be upset because I put her belongings on the floor. We moved a few months ago, and she has not taken the time to unpack her clothes. She picks her clothes out of boxes and puts her dirty clothes on the ground in the bedroom or the bathroom. Because I knew of this issue, I used the guest bathroom to avoid it. The entire guest bedroom is full of her boxes of clothes, where nothing is organized and is a complete mess. Because of this, our house has an extremely stale smell that is impossible to hide. There are dirty clothes everywhere that collect dust and dog dander, but if I bring it up to her, it results in an argument. For the 6 years we have been together, 98% of the arguments we have had stem from me asking her to pick up her clothes. I have offered to do her laundry, but she does not trust me to use the right settings and says she will do it, but then never does, and the piles of clothes remain and only build. I love her to death, and almost everything about her is perfect, but this is by far her worst quality, and it is debilitating to live in a house where this is a constant. We have lived in 4 different places now, houses and apartments, and nothing has changed in 5 years. I have pleaded with her to change and I have gotten 0 results. Anytime it is brought up, I am told that I am lecturing her and that I need to leave her alone. If we know people are coming over, she only cleans the areas where people will be and will shove anything else to other rooms. We had people over for the Super Bowl in February, and our bedroom looked like a hoarder's house because she had to shove everything in there so they would not see it. I want to have the ability to have people over without much notice, but with this behavior, there is no way. When we did not live together, I did not care because it was not my house. But now that we are, my space is being taken up by her mess, which she refuses to clean. I have approached the problem with questions like, "What can I do to help you? And when am I able to tell you that this bothers me without it turning into a fight?" We are getting married at the end of the year, which is great. I am so excited, but thinking about living like this for the years to come gives me crazy amounts of anxiety, and I have no idea how to approach this subject anymore without it becoming an argument. What do I do? What do I say? Some people just aren't wired for cleaning and don't see it as a priority like your fiancé. Since she's earning good money as an attorney, hiring a regular housekeeper could be a good solution to manage the tasks she's not willing to do. It's important to address this issue before getting married, as unresolved problems like these can grow into insurmountable issues over time. Communicating effectively without getting defensive is crucial, so maybe consider a few couples counseling sessions to mediate the discussion. My wife's brother has seemingly given up on life. Hi relationships. I've been with my wife for 7 years, married for 2. We have a great life together, and our relationship is as solid and loving as I've ever had. In the time we've been together, we've watched my wife's brother Joe's life spiral. Joe had a long-term relationship end just before my wife and I met. At that time, he was employed by a major university in the IT department, had friends, and lived a somewhat normal existence. His relationship ended, nobody really knows why, and he moved into a cabin in the mountains. About a year later, Joe quit his job due to environmental allergies. He would not elaborate further and refused to see a doctor. He became increasingly isolated and started subscribing to a lot of medical and political conspiracy theories. Around this time, my wife went to visit Joe. Joe's previously mentioned cabin was apparently in a state of squalor. Joe told my wife that he had been the victim of a spiritual attack and that he felt he was being watched by spirits. My wife told Joe that he needed to speak with a medical professional about this and his environmental allergies. Joe refused, and a short time later he left or was evicted from his cabin. This was right as COVID-19 was beginning, and he drove from place to place and lived in his van for about 18 months. This came to an end when a storm soaked the inside of his van and clothing, and he moved back in with my mother-in-law. During this time, he was offered financial help, a bed at multiple family members' homes, help finding work, and money to seek mental health treatment. He claimed that he was unable to work because he needed to detox from mold exposure due to the van flooding. He maintains this stance nearly 3 years later. Since that time, he has bounced from my mother-in-law's house to her boyfriend's house to my father-in-law's trailer. He continues to claim he cannot work due to mold detox and environmental allergies. Again, he has not seen or been diagnosed by a doctor for any of this. He refuses any help that comes with any conditions. In December 2023, he and my father-in-law got into a physical altercation that ended in Joe being arrested for assault. My mother-in-law let him move in again, despite some obvious misgivings. A couple of weeks ago, he was given probation and a restraining order. He finally agreed to go see a doctor as a condition that has now gone back on that, all while still refusing to look for work. The family is at a loss on what to do. We've all had nearly zero expectations of change for years and are still let down. He stubbornly acts as if nothing is wrong and won't listen to reason on any level. I can see how much this hurts my wife especially. She's had years of therapy to deal with this and other family issues. I try my best to be a supportive partner, but it's a helpless feeling to see this happen over and over. I truly hope someone gets through to him, but I'm not sure I see a light at the end of this tunnel. TL Doctor, my brother-in-law has been displaying erratic and concerning behavior and hasn't had a job or consistent living situation in years due to this behavior. The family is at a loss on what to do next. Setting firm boundaries with Joe is crucial since he needs professional help that goes beyond what the family can provide. Make it clear that while support will always be there if he accepts treatment, he is not welcome to live with you or borrow money. It's likely these boundaries will be unpopular with the rest of the family, but it's important to stay firm for everyone's well-being. Couples counseling can be a great way to get support and show solidarity in this difficult time. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.